Hi there, it's Carmen from Off the Hook Creative. Thank you for watching my video. This is a video specifically about invisible seam join, and the reason for doing a tutorial on this is that I have designed a new tapestry crochet square, which I invisibly join them, the seams, to make blanket or bag or whatever you would prefer. So the invisible join is the method that I like to use for most of my tapestry work, because as the title says, it's invisible, so you can see that it will join the design really nicely. So if you look here, this is a completed blanket that I made, which my daughter has claimed for herself. So I am making another blanket because winter is fastly approaching, but I'm using slightly different colors, using a darker background instead of the lighter background to see a different effect. So I'll be joining my squares together to show you, but these are the squares I've joined for my completed blanket, and as you can see, it's quite a nice neat join and links up the design really nicely. I will show you how you do those little edges and how to get them together nice and neatly, and it's actually an amazing method to use for joining squares. Anyway, so let's get back to that. The invisible seam join is also known as the ladder stitch, or the mattress stitch, or invisible seam stitch. So if you've ever seen those names for it, this tutorial will help you for that. Okay, so as I've already mentioned, it's a great way to join granny squares that have a continuous design running from one square to the other. It joins them without any visible seam. So here we go. Look there. These are my squares, and we want to join these seamlessly so you don't see the seam. It's a bit of a tongue tie situation. So the only disadvantage about, and I say disadvantage, but it might not be for some, but for most that I've heard, the only disadvantage about this join is that you are required to hand stitch. So often it's a lot quicker and easier to crochet your squares together using slip stitch crochet or a zigzag slip stitch. There's lots of options, and that goes a lot quicker. But with this, you would require a darning needle, and you would have to do each square by hand. But the results are worth it. Okie doke, so let's get started. So I have not got the yarn I want to use, so let me quickly go grab it. I've only got my green. I've thought long and hard about this, because this blanket I used white to join my squares, because the majority of the background was white and I didn't want any chance of any color slipping showing through, so I've used white there. But I was thinking that with this one I will use the dusky pink, because I find that the only place I really see the yarn showing through on the joins is in where you join the four corners together. So that you can see it's a little bit of white showing through there. So I thought, you know, this section of the join is so invisible, I'd rather choose a yarn that will match these corners. So I'm going to go grab that dusky pink and I will be back. Hang on a second. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. Okay, so you'll also need a pair of scissors. You will need your darning needle, and I have taken my kitty cat's little catnip sardine tin. Such a cute little tin that I couldn't just throw it away, and I've put a magnet at the bottom and I've got all my little needles inside. So there we go. Grab up my darning needle. There we go. I prefer the blunt end ones, it's just easier to work with, and a nice, I think, what do they call this? I think. Okay, here's my yarn, the same yarn that I'm using, that I've used for the squares. It's a double knit acrylic 8-ply. So cut a piece that you're happy with, length, and you obviously thread your needle like that. Okie dokie. So let me start here. Now you find that with your corners you've got the chain 2. You can see there's a nice little stitch there in the middle, little loop there like that. So I always start with my yarn through there, and then I just leave a little tail so it's easy to weave in later. And then I've now put my needle that way, so now I want to yes, I want to go this way. So we go in there and out. Okay, so we've secured the yarn onto the squares. Now I go back into that same stitch just to give it that extra bit of, well, secure it extra so it doesn't pull out as I'm going along. Okay, there we go. I hope that's clear enough. Let's move these little guys to the side. Okay, so now I have joined my 2 edges and it's pretty simple. So all you need to do is, I mean, I'll hold the squares like this. There's a hair. See, okay. So you take your thread and you go into the first 2 stitches. So there's a stitch, and you want to get your yarn into the underneath that little join section. You pull through, and then you do the exact same thing on the opposite side. So you go in there, oopsie, like that. I hope you can see. So there you go. So I don't tend to hold my work like that. I prefer to stitch these squares together flat. So I kind of do this. I hold it like that and then I can see. Okay, so this is now where the white line is started on the tapestry design, and I make sure I go in through the same stitch on the opposite side like that. So ultimately your squares are facing flat together. The stitches will be facing flat. Okay, so let me work a few more and then you can see, just checking that that's in view. Okay, the exact same stitch on the opposite side, like that. Again, the next one, next one, next one. It's actually quite satisfying because once you've got a few stitches like this looped, well, stitched together, when you pull the yarn it just looks cool, closes it nicely. I'll show you now. Oopsie. There we go. Okay, see there? I hope you can see. Let me try and zoom in a little bit. Okay, so now you've got your end there. Tend to hold that secure, and then pull your, pick it up, it's easier. There we go. Look how nicely that joins, and you just give it a little tug here and there, just like that, and there. Look how nicely that's joined. Okay, so we carry on. Okay, so now we've done the whole side. We just need to now join the 4 corners or the 4 edges. So I try to make this as simple as possible because the more you keep going around and in and out or with the yarn, it can make it bulky. So I have finished off the last stitch there on this side. So my yarn has come out the middle of this corner. So I want to link it to this side. So I take this one and I go into the middle like that and pull that through, and then carrying along in a circle like this, we go into this square, the same little stitch in the middle. Oops, can you see? Like that. And then again into this square, that little cute little stitch in the corner. I like that little stitch, it's a special stitch. It's just nice to find, easy to find. Okay, so there you go. And then I normally go back to the original one once more, just to give it a nice secure tug, and then I go through there again, just under those 2 little loops, and start joining the 3rd and 4th square. So carry on like I showed you in the beginning, like that. Okay, so I will keep it slow for now so you can see me carrying on there on the corners. Trying to keep an eye on my hands and the video, and I just hope I'm not losing focus every time I take my eyes off the screen. Okay, let's have a look. So lovely, I think it looks good like that, and then I am going to carry on to there. What I'll probably do is just continue to this corner, these 4 edges, and show you again how to do the edges. Okay, there we go, into that last stitch on the right on the edge, my favorite little stitch, and then you grab your next square, and don't go that way because then you're gonna have to go back around, rather go down like that. Okay, so into the edge like that, and your next square into the edge there like that, and then back into this cute little one. I think everything's cute, so you'll be hearing that a lot. I have little kiddies, so I'm constantly describing all things as cute and sweet and all of that. Okay, so there I've actually come through instead of going straight through that stitch. There we go. Okay, like that. And then back into that first one so we can close it nicely, and then back through. Can you see there I've just gone under those two little loopy loops, and then we start joining the next square like that. So the best way is to make sure to keep your work lined up nicely, is to make sure that you literally mirroring the join from one side to the other, if that makes sense. So when you're stitching into the one stitch, make sure it's the exact stitch opposite. So if your yarn has come out there just before the white, then your next stitch the yarn must come out there just before the white, and that keeps it all nicely aligned. It's not as easy to do that if you're joining solid color squares, but I think with practice you get the hang of it, because if you start joining them a couple stitches apart, or even one or two stitches, your square is not going to be flat. It's going to be like whoop or whoop, like that. Is best way to join your tapestry crochet squares. You just give it a tug every now and then. Obviously you can block your squares individually, which is probably the best way to do it, but I tend to block my squares once I've got a fair amount together. Then I block them like this as a joined piece. Okie dokes. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video and it helped. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave a comment below. If there are any other tutorials that you were looking for that you haven't found, that you would like me to try and do for you, I'm always happy to help wherever I can. So if you're struggling with something, just put a comment down and I will hopefully be able to help you in any way I can. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.